Hey, it's Shane from GotRom.com. This video is about the best shoulder mobility routine for gym junkies. So if you're a gym goer and you're in the gym all the time, I'm going to show you how to improve your shoulder range of motion using the equipment that you'll find in any gym out there. Stay tuned. So the first thing we need to do is test your current shoulder range of motion. So there's two ways of doing that. The first one is to get a pair of dumbbells, something that's medium weight for you, and you're going to press them up overhead. And what we're looking for is your arms are completely locked out. If you are bending at the elbows slightly, it means you're lacking shoulder range of motion. Or if you're arching your back to get the weights overhead, that means that you're compensating at your back for a shoulder mobility restriction. But if your spine is in neutral, your arms are straight, and you can see that your arm is in line with your ear, that means you have pretty decent shoulder range of motion. But after this routine, it should be even better. The other thing that you can do is you can do a back bridge. A back bridge is a great test of thoracic spine extension and shoulder range of motion, which is really helpful for a lot of gym weightlifting activities. So now let's get into the mobility exercises. So the first thing we need to do is work on your thoracic spine, your upper back. So if you're trying to improve your shoulder range of motion, one of the most helpful things is to get your upper back to be able to arch more. Not your lower back, but your upper back between your shoulder blades. So using equipment in the gym, we can just get a handy dandy bench and lay our backs over it like so, and get it right between our shoulder blades, and then reach our hands long, and then let yourself drape over. You're puffing your chest up and out like Superman. Breathing, relaxing, wiggling, maybe holding your hands behind your head if you need. Changing your elbow position, elbows closer together, changes how it feels. But if you'll do that first exercise, you'll find your posture's a little better and your shoulder range of motion has improved. The next exercise would be to replace this bench with a Swiss ball. So now you have a Swiss ball behind you. You're gonna do the same thing. Your arms go along, your chest puffs up. Maybe you even put your hands in this position and you cradle your head with your biceps, and then you arch back, breathing and relaxing. Feeling the arching sensation in your upper back. You can even pull yourself with your back muscles actively into that position. The nice thing about the ball is you can subtly change the angles and the positions by rolling forward or back. Spend a few deep breaths here. And when you're done, you can come back and retest how your shoulder range of motion feels. So that's exercise number 2. The next exercise that you're going to do is you're going to work on this kind of middle deltoid. If you do a lot of bench press or push-ups or pressing movements in general, this area gets really junky and dense, and it can actually restrict a lot of your shoulder mobility. So you're going to get next to a ball or a bench. You're going to bring a barbell up and on top of that middle deltoid, and you want to aim to have the arm and the bar be at about a 90-degree angle from one to the other. So I'm here, and I'm rolling the bar across that middle deltoid. And if I find a spot that's particularly kind of junky and dense, I can kind of stop, breathe and relax, shake, breathe and relax, scrub. And if you'll do this, you'll find that, wow, you never knew you had dense knotted tissue in that area. But when you're done doing this for a minute or two, when you set the bar down, and you retest your shoulder range of motion, you're like, ooh, that's a lot cleaner. So that's exercise number 3. So the next exercise we're gonna do is we're gonna work on your posterior deltoid or rotator cuff kind of junction. All kinds of muscles converge back here, and if they get junky and tight, it can cause pain and problems, or it can cause mobility restrictions. So to work on that posterior shoulder, using a barbell and a rack while you're warming up for overhead press or bench press or whatever, you're gonna lay that back of your shoulder on here and try, if you have the range of motion, to reach back and grab the bar. This is shoulder external rotation. From this angle, it would look like back of the shoulder and I'm grabbing the bar like this. You might have to kind of get up here like that. You can even put your hand on your elbow here. And what I'm feeling is lots of pressure on this dense tissue back here. So you're grabbing the bar, or if you can't reach all the way back there, another option is to get a little weight plate, same position, back of the shoulder, and let the weight pull you into that external rotation, and then use this hand as needed. So get on the back of that shoulder and then practice kind of scrubbing around, massaging out those knots. And if you'll spend 2-3 minutes here and then retest your shoulder range of motion, reaching up like so, you'll probably find that your arm is closer to your head, which makes overhead pressing, pull-ups, jerks, any kind of overhead movement, handstands, a lot cleaner. The next exercise is very easy to move into. It's the barbell on your kind of armpit, subscap area. All you do is just drape your arm over the bar, and the bar is going to rest kind of right up in that armpit area, and then you just kind of go exploring. You can use this hand to rotate the bar, kind of lean to the side. You can reach underneath here and grab the arm and move it around. But this is an area that almost never gets any kind of massage, any kind of deep tissue work, any kind of targeted tissue work. So if you'll spend just a little bit of time noodling around, tinkering around with this position, contracting, relaxing, breathing, relaxing, you'll probably find there's some gnarly tissue you didn't know existed, and you'll find when you're done, you feel like your range of motion with your shoulders is better, so give that exercise a shot. So if you've ever noticed that your shoulders are up towards your ears, it's because your traps are too tight, and that can cause pain in your neck, and it can cause pain in your shoulder, but it can also cause shoulder mobility problems. So we need to get these traps to relax. One of my favorite ways of doing it in the gym is to have a bar and a rack at about shoulder height. You just kind of step underneath it, put that bar on those upper traps. If you want, you could add a little bit of weight to the bar, say 10 pounds, 20 pounds, something like that, to add a little downward pressure. But the nice thing is with the bar, you can kind of roll up and back on those upper traps. And if you'll spend just a little bit of time tinkering here, I can pin down this tissue and stretch a little bit underneath, roll, pin down some tissue, stretch it underneath. If you do maybe a minute or two on that, you'll probably find that when you stand back up, you'll find that one shoulder is dropped and relaxed, and the other one that you didn't even realize was tight is up like this. So look at yourself in the mirror after this exercise, and of course also retest your shoulder range of motion, and you'll probably find you like what you see. Another great exercise using a barbell in a gym is to stretch your pecs. So anyone who does a lot of push-ups, bench press, dips, pressing movements ends up, if they don't do anything, looking like this with the rounded shoulder caveman posture. So you don't want to be this guy. You want to have the pecs in a good lengthened position. And to do that, you just grab a bar in a rack, and if you're really stiff and inflexible in your shoulders, take a very wide grip. If you're a little bit more flexible, go narrower and narrow over time. But the keys to this exercise are keep a soft bend in the elbows. I'm not trying to get my arms back here in this position with my shoulders tipped forward, because then I'm not going to stretch my pecs. I'm trying to keep my shoulders open. I'm trying to keep a soft bend in my elbows, and then I'm trying to puff my chest out and breathe and relax. You'll know you're doing it right if you feel the stretch right across the big meaty pecs, not in the tip of the shoulder and not so much in the biceps, right across the chest. So get in this position, soft elbows, let your elbows kind of rotate in this direction. This is shoulder external rotation. So I'm rotating into position, I start to feel the stretch, and then to intensify it, I puff my chest out, breathe and relax, wiggle around. I can contract, relax, a type of PNF stretching, where I pretend like I'm doing a pec fly, so I'm in a stretched position, and then I activate my chest as if I was gonna do this for a couple seconds, and then I relax. So it looks like this. I'm here, soft elbows, rotate, puff my chest up, contract, hold my breath. I'm trying to do a pec fly. I'm trying to clap my hands together in front of me, clap, clap, clap. And I relax, move a little deeper into the stretch. So tinker around with this pec stretch, and I think you'll find that when you're done, you feel like you've got Superman posture, and of course, your shoulder range of motion will be better. The next muscle we're gonna work on is your lats. The big, meaty lat muscles here on the side of your body are one of the main muscles that internally rotate your shoulders, but they also restrict your overhead movement. So if I was gripping myself here and pulling down, obviously I'm not going to be able to get my hands over my head very effectively. So I got to release this so I have nice, clean shoulder range of motion. So to do that, we can, again, set up a bar and a rack. Ideally, I would be on the other side of this, because if I really pulled hard, I could pull this bar off the rack. So you should set it up in reverse where you're pulling into the rack and it's not going to slip off the edge. But for demo purposes, you take an underhand grip, make your arm come long, and then you kind of step through. So now you can see I'm in a nice overhead position with my arm externally rotated, which is going to bias the lats. And I like to step back with this same side leg. So right arm is up and right leg goes back into kind of a long lunge curtsy kind of position. And then I press my armpit up and out in that direction, like I'm trying to create a rainbow on the side of my body. So if you're doing it right, you'll feel a nice stretch along here. With this free hand, you can hold your other hand into external rotation. You can just use it for support. But if you'll hang out here for a couple seconds, you'll find that you're really stretching out the lats and improving your shoulder range of motion. So a lot of people in the gym don't realize that their triceps are a major limiter of range of motion. And because you do so much pressing movements, overhead presses and bench press and dips and all kinds of stuff, triceps get really stiff and tight. People these days are foam rolling their quads a lot because they know that that restricts their range of motion in their lower body. But not a lot of people are working on their triceps. So if you put a barbell in a rack and then just lay your tricep across the collar, either the thick part or you can do it on the thinner part as well. Either one is fine. And you start to scrub back and forth, you'll be like, ooh, that's junky. That feels just as bad as foam rolling my quads. So spend some moments here. You can get a little added pressure like this. If I get up over the top and change the angle, that changes how it feels. I can also make circles with my arm. So there's no wrong way. You just want to get on that tricep tissue and start to soften it up, breathing and relaxing, not making it too intense. So again, if you'll spend 2, 3, 4 minutes per tricep and then retest your overhead range of motion, I think you'll find that, ooh, it's a lot cleaner because you worked on your triceps. So in the beginning of this video, I said if you want to improve your shoulder range of motion, you need to improve your thoracic spine, your upper back range of motion. I'm going to show you 2 ways of doing that with the barbell. So the first way is just turn and face a barbell in a rack, hands on the barbell, come down to your knees. So you're here, scoot back, arms mostly straight, and then you're going to drop your chest through and try to get an arching sensation in your upper back, like so. Breathing, sinking deeper into the stretch, breathing and sinking. If you're doing it right, you'll feel it up here. If you're doing it wrong, you'll feel it in the shoulders too much, or you'll feel it in the low back too much. So aim to feel it in your mid to upper back, dropping your chest through, breathing and relaxing. Sometimes as I'm holding my breath, I'm also slightly pulling my arms down into the bar for a couple seconds. So I'm holding my breath, pulling, and then when I release, I feel the release in the upper back. Wiggle around, try that out. Another version is to hang from a bar, which just hanging on its own is a great shoulder mobility exercise, especially when you bring your knees up in front of you like this. Just hanging and wiggling around will improve your shoulder mobility. But specifically doing like a arching pull-up where I'm pretending like I'm pulling myself up and I'm feeling the arching sensation in my upper back, letting my head come back. What this does is the pulling motion arches my upper back and it's actively pulling me into thoracic extension, which will improve your overhead range of motion. So try using the barbell to create thoracic extension in those 2 variations. So now it's time for the big retest. Of course, you've been testing your range of motion as you've been doing those mobility exercises. Whatever you've been trying to improve, your pull-ups, your overhead press, your jerk, your handstand, your bench press, you've been retesting that all along the way. But let's test either our dumbbell overhead press or the back bridge that we tested in the beginning. So grab your weights, press them up overhead. Remember, we're looking for straight arms, no bend in the elbows, and no arch in the back. And if you can get your arm next to your ear with no compensation, no bend in the elbow, no arch in the back, that means you've got a nice clean range of motion. It would be cool if you recorded a video or you recorded or took a picture to see how your range of motion improved, because that'll motivate you to keep going. So try all of those exercises. Hopefully they help your pain and your shoulder mobility, and I will see you in the next video.